All right, so what I want to go through today is the concept of the GDP. You've probably heard this before. It's called the gross domestic product, okay? The GDP. This is a really important concept in macroeconomics. It's pretty much the market value of all the goods and services produced within a particular country in a particular time period. Think of it this way. Every single thing that a country produces, there's a way to tally it all up, give it a value, and figure out exactly what that country produced over a particular time period. That's the GDP. So every computer, every bottle of water, every shoelace, every iPhone, every iPad, whatever the case might be, everything that's produced within a particular country in a particular time period is tallied all up, and that gives you an idea of the productive capacity of the economy. Now realize why this is so important. Everything that's produced, we could track it over time, we could measure it, we could see if we're going up or we're going down. So everything in macroeconomics begins with this concept, the GDP. What I want to show you very briefly is how this is calculated. And I'm going to show you a particular method called the expenditure method. And the idea here is, with the expenditure method, if we want to figure out all the goods and services that are produced, the GDP, within the physical boundaries of a country, we have to find a way to look at all the people who actually bought the final goods and services. That's the expenditure method. Some people, or you'll see it in your textbook, it's called the demand side. So all the goods and services that are produced within a time period, with the expenditure method, what we do is we look at all the people who actually bought the goods and services. So ask yourself this question. Who exactly will be buying goods and services? Who are the spending units that will buy stuff? And think about it. Who will buy stuff? Who will buy the things that I just listed? The iPhone, the iPad, milk, bread. What are the spending units that will buy these goods and services? And if you're thinking, I want an iPhone, then you're right. One spending unit are consumers. Who else will be buying stuff? Think of a tractor, a photocopier, a piece of machinery. Is that a consumer? Who else will be buying stuff? If you're thinking, where I work, they tend to buy a lot of stuff, then another spending unit is the businesses, okay? And who else will be buying stuff? Who else can we think of? Another spending unit, finally. If you're not a consumer, you're not a business, who else could you be that's buying the goods and services that I just talked about? If you're rocking your brain trying to figure out, it's nothing sci-fi, so it's not any aliens or anything crazy. One more spending unit, you're probably thinking about, I hope you got it, is the government. And that's pretty much what the expenditure method is doing. It's looking at all the goods and services that are bought by these different spending units. Consumers, businesses, and the government. So whenever you see the GDP by the expenditure method, you're going to see a nice, neat little equation. It's going to tally all of the goods and services that consumers could buy. So if you were to look at the components, all of the goods and services that the consumer could buy, here's the first one. It's consumption expenditure. And I'm teaching you the symbols because I want you to be used to it from the textbook. That's a C. What about the businesses? Well, we tally that up. When we're looking at what businesses buy, then we call that investment. And the symbol for investment, that's the I. Sometimes you'll see it with a little G, okay? If you're going, oh no, why do we have a little G on it? It's because it's gross investment. Okay? And then what else? What are the different components associated with the government buying stuff? And if you're trying to guess, what would be the symbol for government? For consumers, it's C. For businesses, it's investment. What about for the government? You guessed it, it's G. Okay? So the components from these spending units, what the consumers buy, what the businesses buy, and what the government buys. Now there's another piece that you see in your textbook that I need to explain. This C is everything that consumers buy, irrespective of where it's made. So if something is made in China, it's captured in the C. If something is made in Korea, it's captured in the C. If something is made in Germany, it's captured in the C. Think back. What did I say about GDP? It's the market value of all the goods and services produced within a particular country. So if we're looking at the United States, it's everything that's produced within the United States. This C captures everything. So we got to clean it up a little bit. We got to clean it up with this last component. This C has some extra stuff in it. All the imports are captured in the C. We got to get it out of there. This C is leaving out stuff. If somebody is living in Australia and they're buying something made in the United States, it's not captured in this C. We got to get that back in there. So for this, we got to fix it up a little bit. We got to take exports, plop it back in, and X is our exports. And we got to take the imports, okay? And we got to take that out. This is a subtract sign. And for imports, we use the symbol M. And there you have it. GDP by the expenditure method is this nice, neat formula. So if you want GDP from the demand side, GDP is equal to C, that's the consumption, IG, or sometimes just I, that's the gross investment, plus G, that's the government spending, and then that last piece, plus X minus M. There you go. GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. And you need to have this etched in your brain. This is the central formula for macroeconomics. GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Okay?